So you're saying that in the case of Japan, you're saying that we would lose around $148 million in revenue potentially.
Yes, $148 billion.
However, you know that in that case, the firm is not advocating for a decrease in aid to natural disasters because we understand that natural disasters cannot be they're the act of a higher being or whatever you think it is, not the act of man. And that is why the affirmative is not advocating for the end of aid to countries when they suffer, to foreign countries after they suffer a natural disaster.
Yes, however, Japan is just one example. Even if, say there was a not natural disaster, say there was a social disaster in Japan, just that one example proves that we would lose millions of dollars after any sort of disaster in any foreign country.
Okay, so you also claim that you claim that the United States is the highest gross domestic product, so therefore we have a moral obligation to go help all the other countries and police the world and act big brother and all that.
Yes.
So are you saying that no other countries help donate money to countries after no other countries give aid also, or charities?
No, other countries give aid, but the U.S. has the most money and therefore the biggest obligation to give aid.
Why do we have an obligation to give aid when right now we are having such an economic crisis, and possibly by giving aid we could potentially also suffer an economic crisis, and we would need aid as a result.
I don't think that that's true, because if the U.S. gives aid, it will stimulate other countries' economies, and maybe it won't fix their whole situation and their whole problem, but you said $40 billion. That $40 billion that we give out in aid is a lot better than $0.
Why don't you use that $40 billion to help our economy?
Because one way to help our economy is by giving aid to other nations, so that their
how about we just decrease all the hassle when it comes with the corrupt government, as I said earlier, and we keep the money for ourselves, we use the money to generate revenue, and then we could instead, I'm getting into my partner's plan, but we could also donate it to other places, and then they could help them also, and we wouldn't have to deal with all of this corruption.
Well, aid given to foreign nations doesn't lead to corruption.
So what would you say against all that, the evidence I gave earlier in my constructive, showing that there is corruption that goes when we donated aid to Africa, the amount of corruption that went there.
Yes, there was corruption in Africa, but that doesn't mean that aid to every country or any country will automatically create corruption.
When you give, okay, so you're saying essentially that when there's a complete lack of resources and one person gets all of abundance, a plethora of resources, they're just going to say, we're going to give it all out for free, we're going to do the right moral thing to do, because chances are that person who's at the head of the government is probably corrupt, because that's the reason why they're suffering from a social disaster.